There's a new report out from The Guardian on the working conditions of migrants in Qatar. And what they're doing, of course, is they're building the World Cup infrastructure for 2022. They say, quote, Nepalese migrants building the infrastructure to host the 2022 World Cup have died at a rate of 1 every 2 days in 2014. The Nepalese Foreign Employment Promotion Board said 157 of its workers in Qatar had died between January and mid-November this year, 67 of sudden cardiac arrest, and 8 of heart attacks, which is weird because I thought that's the same thing. The Guardian says the real number is actually higher. The real number is 188. In 2012 and 2013, when you add in the workers who died from India and Bangladesh, the number is 964 people. 964 people dying in the year 2014 simply working and doing construction. That's amazing. So there's no safety standards, and let me give you more details on this. Quote, there's evidence of forced labor. Another term for that? Slavery. We have modern-day slavery building World Cup infrastructure. Quote, some Nepalese men have alleged that they have not been paid for months and have had their salaries retained to stop them from running away. Some workers on other sites say employers routinely confiscate passports and refuse to issue ID cards, reducing them to the status of illegal aliens. Some laborers say they have been denied access to free drinking water in the desert heat. By the way, you want to know why they're dying? That's probably why they're dying. They're being forced to work in the desert in temperatures over 100 degrees, and they're not even given water. Insane conditions. They say about 30 Nepalese sought refuge at their embassy in Doha to escape the brutal conditions of their employment. So really, let this marinate in your brain. Here we have a situation where the world watches. The entire world is watching as a $45 billion city is being built from scratch with slave labor in 2014. And they don't care. They don't bat an eyelash because eventually people are going to use this city to play a game where they kick a ball into a net at the site of this atrocity where 1,000 people have died from slave labor in the so-called modern age. If that is not a perfect example of the stupidity of human beings, I don't know what is. I mean, are we really this primitive? Are we really... what are we? Still monkeys? We're monkeys with a clean shave is what it is. This is fucking ridiculous. 1,000 people dead because of slave labor in 2014 not getting drinking water while working in the desert heat. And by the way, the Qatari government had said repeatedly, oh, we're going to improve conditions. Did they improve conditions? Of course not. The world is watching. The World Cup involves the world. They all see what's going on, and nobody's stopping it. America's not stepping in. Nobody's stepping in. So none of these nations can claim the moral high ground on any other issue until they get their shit in order, until they get their house in order, and they stop open slave labor. This is being flaunted. This is being rubbed in our faces. And they act like it's nothing. At the same time this happens, we're going to lecture the world about freedom and democracy and doing the right thing and being virtuous. You want to be virtuous? Start with shutting down this bullshit. Start with telling the Qatari government to fuck off until they get their shit in order. Start with telling them that not a single other person can die and you need to triple the wages or else we're not going to allow you to have this event there. Is this really that hard? Is it more important to see a game where a ball is kicked in a net? Is that more important than human lives and human dignity and freedom and putting an end to slave labor? This is such a big story and not a single person is talking about it. Not a single person is talking about it. The only people who did a good job covering it, and they're the only people covering it, is The Guardian. Everybody else is pathetic and sad and ridiculous, and they better cover this story as well, or else they're complicit in the problem.